Yeah.
But let's go back to the Brown case. So the
All right.
Supreme Court consolidates these cases.
All right. Now the cases were argued. The Supreme Court they couldn't decide what they wanted to do, and according to later information that we didn't know at that time, we thought that in the Texas law case, I can't names jump from my mind.
Sure.
But anyway, the Texas law case, Vinson wrote, who was the Chief Justice of the United States at the time, what he wrote the opinion, and he went right down the line on our brief as to what would constitute a first-class law school. You know, see, down in Texas they had opened up a one-room school and had one teacher and one pupil. Of course, obviously that was a sham, and so we had Sweat case.
Even Sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, then we decided now, finally the court has come around our way. So that's when the convention decided to challenge segregation per se. As a matter of fact, I didn't get to the convention that year because Martin and I were trying a daggone case down at Hillside in Durham, North Carolina.
So the NAACP convention decides to challenge segregation per se. The court has consolidated all these cases by then.
Well, no, see, the NAACP decided to go per se. That's when we filed a suit in Clarendon County.
All right, well, let me take you back to that. Was there debate? I know you said you weren't at the convention, but there must have been some debate about whether we should do this, let's not do this. Do you remember arguments about it?
Well, I don't recall it. See, as I said, I was not at the convention, and so I don't remember any serious objection. And now there was some question raised. I mean, for example, after we decided, I know we had a meeting in Washington, and them talking just lawyers now. And at that time, I advocated let's challenge housing rather than schools, because we had this question of local location. I mean, local schools, neighborhood schools was established, and I figured all we had to do now is challenge the housing, and kids would just go to schools where they lived. But somebody raised a question about what an experiment had been going on in Chicago, Trumbull Park. You remember?
Oh, sure.
Remember
Yeah,
Trumbull
big
Park
riots.
situation?
Yeah.
The riots and things. It said create all that disorder. We wouldn't have those things if we went for the schools. So we agreed to that. Now later we had some discussion about taking on intrastate, but that's no question. Let's stick with Brown.
Yeah, so they consolidate the cases, and they argued them twice, didn't they?
We argued the cases, and Vinson didn't want to. There was debate among the Chief Justices. They didn't want to have a split decision, and I don't think they wanted to hold President valid, but on the other hand, they didn't want to overrule. As a matter of fact, apparently it was more sentiment not to overrule President than it was to overrule it. So Frankfurt is supposed to have suggested that all these historical questions, that they gave us to answer as to what was the thinking of the Congress at the time that they passed the 14th Amendment. Because at the time that they passed the 14th Amendment, they set up a segregated school in the District of Columbia. All right, they gave us all these questions, and we assembled a lot of historians, and Woodward was the chief historian.
C. Van Woodward, yeah.
And we had him and a whole flock of other historians. In the meantime, I don't know how the order of this, but Bob and Davis, was there were a couple of Davises at the time, but one of them was a psychologist. Taught over Lincoln. What was his first name?
I don't recall.
Yeah, but anyway, they got together about psychological
And
information, and then they got
Kenneth Clark?
Kenneth Clark, and Kenneth came up with his dog, and that. So when the Senate gave us all this stuff, and sent us back for a re-argument, we came up next time challenging that, and we also were prepared for the trials by presenting the dog evidence.
Mm-hmm. And then the decision finally comes.
All right, the decision finally came in 1954,
Right.
But instead of issuing this mandate like they normally would have done when they declared an act unconstitutional, they held the case under advisement and held it over orders to come back for argument as to the remedy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when Frankfurter came up with the idea of deliberate speed.
Now,
Deliberate speed.
what remedy did you argue for?
What do you mean? What remedy? Well, we were arguing for immediate, or at most 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Now, so when they say all deliberate speed, what did you think that meant, or would mean to the plaintiffs in these cases?
Well, I say we felt that at the maximum be for 5 years. I remember discussing the matter with one of the attorneys from on the Southfield. Jim Neighbor and I were standing together, and we were talking to one of the attorneys from South Carolina, and we were saying that we ought to go for 5 years. That'd be time enough to get it adjusted, and he thought that was terrible. So we said, well, what was your idea? What do you think time ought to be? He said 2020.
2020? You mean 20 years?
2020. Yeah, he meant 20 years from now.
Uh-huh.
His idea.
Oh, boy.
And he was nearer right than we were.
Yes, indeed, indeed. But at the time, did you think that it could be worked out in 5 years?
Oh, we didn't see a reason why it couldn't be. As a matter of fact, you see, we from in '39, we filed suit in Norfolk on the Austin case, and we got that judgment in our favor. We worked out a settlement with the city, the communities, and gave them 3 years to equalize the salaries, and that worked out fine.